encapsulated a little bit about myself, about what I'm kind of understanding about how, even we blink in and out of a reality at a certain rate. But if it's done fast enough, it looks continuous. Just imagine just like a film frame. When you're watching an old movie that's on a film, and it's frame by frame. Each frame is a still. But if it's done fast enough and synced just right, it looks like it's moving. It's moving action. Well, imagine that we are existing as stills, as a series of still frames, and that we are going from frame to frame, but it's happening so fast that that's our reality. And the frame rate is at a certain rate too. So there's a frame, then there's a pause, then there's a frame, there's a pause, there's a frame, there's a pause. Now just imagine, okay, that's our reality. What if the pause in between the frames we exist in also are frames of a different reality in between
that
the
is
frames
a possibility.
that we exist in?
Now, I hate to interrupt you, but we got another caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, Gary. It's Karen.
Well, hi, Karen. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Oh,
I had a question on when he was talking about when they left him gifts. Did he ever try to re-gift them with food or something and leave it in the same spot that they left him gifts?
Oh, I didn't get the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When they were leaving you gifts for your greenhouse, like the pieces of wood and stuff, did you ever re-gift them with pieces of food in the same place they left their gifts?
You broke up a little bit, but they left it the wood pieces around this tree, but it was a one-time thing. But it was pretty close to where I had the other event, where the one walked across the logs and stuff. So, yeah.
Did you ever think to try to leave them maybe some corn and apples or something in that same spot?
Oh yeah, no, not there in particular. I did do gifting. I didn't do it in my property necessarily, but I would go to their area, and we used to do gifting. I would monitor pretty closely so it wouldn't be construed as baiting or anything like that for the animals. So it would be in that particular case, you had to put the food items tied to a basket, by a rope or something like that, and then monitor the very next day. We've had some success where they had peanut butter, open the peanut butter jar. They would open the seal and actually get the peanut butter. Unfortunately, the peanut butter jars kept disappearing, and we didn't know where they went. And we went down the creek, and they would take it down there, and they would grab the jar and take it down to a certain part of the creek, and we found several of the jars that were missing, and we were able to clean it up or whatever. But that was a practice that was done about 3 or 4 years ago, but we stopped doing it since then. we felt that it was not necessarily giving them human food, because I don't think that was such a good idea for them to eat it anyway. So, but as far as gifts,
well, that's why I was thinking fresh fruit or vegetables, something that they would like, that's natural, but
well, they like
would
little.
be like a return
I
gift
tried to leave like shiny rocks or something that not necessarily food items, but as play. I mean, we got away from that practice because there was because of the environment of being construed as I mean, we'd do it in our own yard, but they stopped doing that. They actually stopped. They stopped the food. They themselves stopped, taking our food.
Yeah, couldn't you bring in other predators?
Huh?
Couldn't you bring in other predators by putting stuff out?
Yeah, that's the whole point. And I got upset with one. I won't mention names or anything, but came out with one researcher, and I was a little upset because I had more respect for the Bigfoots and the Sasquatch, and he had all this equipment and everything, and he took a can of salmon or whatever, and he started taking the juice and then just throwing it on the trees and everything. And says, "What are you doing?" It says, "Oh, I'm baiting. I'm throwing out the bait." Almost like it had the attitude like, and we're baiting it for an animal. Well, that's what we don't do. You know what I mean?
Sure. Okay.
So,
Thank
we're
you.
viewing these are
Thank you,
human-like beings out there, and you have to treat it the same, So, but as of late, we don't do anything like that, no.
Yeah.
Not in the past few years.
Yeah, I've even had a couple of Bigfoot hunters on say that they go out and they put like sandwiches out and whatever they can think of to, they say to attract them.
Well, I had a researcher I was associated with, and he did it the right way. What he did was, he did this down in Oregon. He was actually camping there. So what he would do, because the thing is, you want to monitor this really closely so that you're able to check back the very next morning. So stuff isn't just simply left there. That's what you don't want. Okay, he'd take a clean bowl, like a metal bowl, and you use surgical gloves to make sure it's wiped clean. He'd make sandwiches and put them in there. And then what he would have, they'd see what they would take or what they wouldn't take. And if it was an animal that did, they made a big mess. The Bigfoots were really clean about that. They would get into a carton of eggs, and then they'd crack the egg open, and they'd suck the egg out of it, and then they'd meticulously put it back in the box. I mean, they're very human-like, very clean way of dealing with stuff like that. And, of course, the whole purpose of a clean metal bowl is that there were prints. There were handprints, fingerprints on them. So he was pretty successful at that,
Did he ever send out any of those prints to have them analyzed?
He's got hair samples, prints. He even has a stool sample, very large stool sample. Nothing became of that, and that gets in another issue about when you send the stuff off, they're basically doing a DNA test, and what comes back is they'll just simply say, it's unknown, it probably is contaminated. That's the problem, is that if you had any kind of DNA that's related, that's not cataloged already, they're going to simply claim it was contaminated, because they're always going to think that it's going to be something they already know exists. And that's the fallacy of trying to do DNA testing.
Interesting. I know that it was like with hair. I mean, to get DNA off, you can't get DNA off hair, but you have to have the root to be able to get the DNA.
Or how? I mean, it all boils down to they also look at the structure of the hair. They could tell a lot looking at the shaft of the hair and cross match it with different kind of animal hair or compare it to human hair, and that they found the one that's been suspected of being a Bigfoot hair would have a very hollow shaft in it, almost the ability in a way to support different light. In other words, kind of like a fiber optic that's hollow, that it could actually have different colors and emanate through it, which kind of supports the theory that they're able to change color to help mask themselves.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm just going off with what I've heard or what I've researched in the past.
I know, like Ron Moorhead, he sent over before he came on my show all these, sounds from Bigfoot. But when I was talking to him on the show, he was way out in his camp where he would go all the time. Where he had to have mules, to, pack stuff in. What was interesting, he said that one of the recordings or sounds he got, it almost emulated like a trunk, opening a car trunk and closing it. Mm-hmm. And there was no roads around there.
Amazing ability to imitate certain types of sounds you wouldn't even imagine would be in the middle of the woods. You know what I'm saying?
Now, to emulate that sound, they must have heard it somewhere.
Oh yeah, they're just from city, and I do feel that they network enough. When we talked about networking as humans, they network. They're that's why I'm saying that they're close by. They're not deep in the woods all the time. They have a good handle on what's really going on. They're a lot more aware of our world than we are necessarily. Okay, so
yeah, they probably look at what we're doing as destroying it.
Yeah, well, I get that. I get just from my awareness of feeling what they're feeling. Yeah, they think we're dumber than a box of rocks sometimes. I hate to say that. It's just a portion of the population. It just comes from just total oblivious unawareness or whatever. You know, we're not doing our environment any good, doing what we're doing as a civilization, basically. You know.
Yeah, and it's just not affecting other humans. It's affecting whatever is out in the forest too.
Well, it's affecting us too, but yeah, it's a more impact on that because we're not managing the forest areas, forest lands very well, and and whatever we're doing to the environment weather-wise is actually not helping the situation with forest fires because they're burning a lot more intensely than in times past, and just think of California in the last few years, or even here in Washington, we had that massive fire about 2 years ago. And it threatened to come pretty close to where we live over here, and it burned out about 45,000 acres.
Oh, wow. Now, one thing, too, other cryptids in the forest. We got a few minutes left here. You want to touch base on that?
Yeah, I'm finding more and more pictures. I'm finding them not only in the Field of Dreams or certain areas I research. This goes back to also. I found a couple of pictures here that I posted on the link I gave. Actually shows one of them. I heard this. They kept seeing. Someone reported seeing a Bigfoot or something running parallel the road on one of the Forest Service roads. So I went out there just a few days after that experience. Someone reported, and I went over and parked, and I heard the owl call. Like a really loud owl call, but it wasn't just a weak owl. It would have been like a 600-pound style owl doing it. It was a forest person or a Bigfoot doing it. So I got the camera out and took pictures. Well, I started zooming in on one little area here, and I'm looking. What's an owl doing? It almost looked like a golden head owl, and it was down near the bottom of the tree, but it looked too big. So I'm looking closer at this owl head, and then I'm looking down below the owl. It says, "Well, there's a face underneath the owl." It says like there's a real detailed face of a person or something that's underneath this owl. And then it occurred to me, what I was really looking at was an owl headdress.
Interesting.
Okay, because I've been. I had a friend, and I need to get a hold of this book. I think there's I don't know if it's the Yakima tribe or something. They have the legend of the Sietco Indians, and I don't know if they're talking about these being the hairy for Bigfoots, but it's a lot. It's kind of like a hidden tribe of beings. They inhabit the Cascades, I believe, and I think these could be that because I'm seeing these headdresses on. I see this owl headdress, and it corresponded with when I parked. I heard the owl calls. Okay, so now I'm seeing owl headdresses on the owl on this forest person. It was a good enhancement picture I did on the site, and then I'm seeing that, and then I as I mentioned, I'm taking shamanic practices right now for my mentor. I sent the picture to her and asked her an opinion of it. It says, "What do you think about an owl headdress?" It says, "Well." It says it's associated with some tribes that, and it has everything to do with shape-shifting. Go figure. Let's connect some more dots here. Okay, so we were talking about shapeshifters earlier. You were talking about it too, how something will change, or at least mentally think it's something else other than what's there, or it could have been an owl or something like that. I think this is all related. I think the ability to manipulate either people's mental picture or something by the beings that live in the forest it's even like, and then what I was also noticing is some of the little people, some of the other, what I thought were Bigfoot, I guess they're Bigfoots, but they were wearing like, what's this